When you find yourself navigating the complexities of modern relationships, it's essential to understand the subtle indicators that a person might not be fully committed to you. We live in an age where convenience and instant gratification often trump genuine emotional connection. Yet the reality is, some individuals may not have the courage or the clarity to engage in a real, profound partnership. Instead, they might keep you around, not as a priority, but as a safety net, an option to fall back on when other pursuits fail. The first sign to pay attention to is when he never truly makes you a priority in his life. It's not about an occasional misstep or a busy week at work. It's about a consistent lack of effort. When you notice that you're never the one he makes plans with first, never the one he consults for decisions, it's a clear indicator. It's as though you're not someone he is willing to invest deeply in, and that's something you need to recognize. If he only shows up when it's convenient for him, it's a red flag. The second sign is the lack of clear communication. When someone isn't fully invested in a relationship, they often keep things vague. They avoid discussing their future together, not because they don't want to, but because they don't see you as a long-term option. Conversations about where things are headed remain ambiguous, and you're left in a constant state of uncertainty. It's like the story in the movie Follow the Butt. You're not in the loop because you're not considered a priority in his life, and that's a powerful sign that you're just an option, not a goal. Another key indicator is how he treats you during times of personal growth or transformation. If you're evolving and changing, perhaps you're getting better at your job, becoming more independent, or pursuing your passions, and he doesn't seem to support or celebrate that growth, it reveals a great deal. Someone who truly values you will want to see you rise and thrive. If he's constantly dragging his feet or ignoring your achievements, it's a subtle form of rejection. You're not part of his vision for the future, and he's simply keeping you around in case he doesn't find someone else who suits him better. A fourth sign that you're being kept as an option is when he's emotionally unavailable. We all have baggage, and that's not the issue. The problem arises when he consistently shuts down or avoids emotional intimacy with you. If every time you open up, you're met with indifference, confusion, or detachment, it's a strong indication that he's not fully committed to creating the deep, meaningful connection that would lead to a relationship built on mutual trust and respect. His emotional unavailability speaks volumes about how he views you, not as a person he wants to deeply invest in, but as someone who's simply filling space. The fifth sign is the behavior during moments of conflict. If every disagreement turns into a tactical retreat, where he dodges confrontation, deflects responsibility, or refuses to address the issues, he's showing you that he's not willing to fight for the relationship. Real partnerships require confrontation and resolution. If he avoids these moments of conflict, it's because he doesn't care enough to invest in the solution, and you're just one of many options he can walk away from easily. Furthermore, when he acts distant or disappears for days on end without explanation, it reveals his lack of commitment. There's no sense of urgency to reconnect with you, and when he does reach out, it's often just for his own convenience or comfort. The absence is telling. When you're genuinely valued, distance is uncomfortable and efforts are made to bridge that gap. But when you're an option, distance doesn't hold the same weight. Another sign is when he keeps his options open, especially on social media. You'll notice that he might be talking to others, liking pictures, or even openly flirting online. If he's constantly seeking attention from other people and not putting the same effort into your relationship, it's a glaring indicator. The boundaries are blurred because he hasn't made the conscious decision to prioritize you over the multitude of potential distractions around him. Another important lesson in this chapter is about the fact that you are a double-edged sword. By distancing sharing your intention, finally, watch for how he talks about the future. If the idea of commitment to you, of having a shared life together, never enters his conversations, it's a sign of his lack of investment. He may express general interest in the idea of being in a relationship, but he will never specify you in those future plans. He's comfortable keeping things open-ended because it suits his lifestyle. You're just an option for him in that moment, not a key part of his future. These signs, though subtle, are clear when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture. If you're continually being kept on the sidelines, unsure of your place, it's time to reevaluate the relationship. You deserve someone who sees you as more than an option, someone who makes you a priority. One of the most telling signs that you're being kept as an option is when you notice that you're not truly a priority in his life. At first glance, this might seem like a small issue. After all, everyone has their own commitments, their jobs, their hobbies, and their social lives. It's completely understandable that people need space or time for themselves. But the key distinction here is the pattern of behavior, not just the occasional busy week. Over time, it becomes evident when someone isn't putting forth the effort to make you a central part of their world. This goes far beyond merely being unavailable once in a while. It speaks to a deeper lack of commitment and consideration. When a person values you, they find ways to prioritize your presence in their life. It's not about grand gestures or constant attention, but about consistent, deliberate actions that communicate you are a priority. For instance, they might carve out time to see you, even if their schedule is packed. They adjust plans to make sure they're there when it matters. Whether that means showing up for something important to you, or simply ensuring they're emotionally available when you need them, it's the little things that make a difference. The text at the end of a long day to check in, the effort to understand your needs, and the willingness to adjust their day to accommodate you. All of these are signs of someone who views you as someone they value deeply. On the other hand, when you're not a priority, you'll notice the lack of effort in these areas. If you're constantly finding yourself waiting for him to reach out or make plans, it's a significant red flag. When you do make the effort, it often feels like you're the only one trying to make things work. Conversations are one-sided, and you're left to do most of the emotional labor, always planning, initiating, and making compromises. And this can be especially disheartening when the other person seems perfectly content to live their life without making the smallest effort to incorporate you into theirs. This pattern becomes more glaring when he's readily available for others but seemingly unavailable for you. For example, he might drop everything to meet up with friends, attend social events, or go on spontaneous trips without ever considering whether or not you'd like to join or even if you're available. But when you ask for time together, it's met with resistance, excuses, or vague promises of future plans that never seem to materialize. The idea of compromising his time for you doesn't seem to cross his mind, and when he does make time for you, it's often on his terms and at his convenience rather than meeting you halfway. This lack of prioritization can extend beyond just physical presence. Emotional availability is a huge part of this as well. If you're always left feeling like an afterthought in the emotional landscape of his life, it's telling. You might be the person who waits until he's done dealing with his own issues or personal time before you get any attention. When you do bring up your feelings, they might be dismissed, minimized, or ignored entirely. If you're not consistently made to feel like an important part of his emotional world, it indicates that he isn't viewing you as a priority, and your emotional needs are secondary to whatever else he finds more pressing at the moment. This can become particularly painful when it's coupled with a lack of genuine effort to truly know you, your thoughts, dreams, worries, and daily experiences. When someone doesn't prioritize you, they might never take the time to understand what makes you tick. They'll know the surface level details, but they won't go deeper. They don't invest the mental and emotional energy to listen actively or make plans with you in mind. Instead, they might casually let you know that they're free for a quick catch-up, but never bother to consider what you'd enjoy or need in a relationship. Additionally, when you're not a priority, there's often a sense of imbalance in how much you're expected to give versus what you receive. You'll notice yourself making concessions or adjustments in your life to accommodate him while he does very little in return. This may be in the form of rearranging your schedule, sacrificing your own needs, or even compromising on things that matter to you, all in an effort to make the relationship work. Meanwhile, he might remain largely unaffected by these sacrifices, never truly recognizing the imbalance that exists. You're constantly giving while he's receiving without offering anything substantial in return. This one-sided dynamic reflects a deeper issue. He doesn't see your presence in his life as something to be nurtured or cherished, When someone values you, they're willing to put in the effort to sustain the connection, especially when life gets busy or challenging. But when you're just an option, these efforts become sporadic or even non-existent, leaving you feeling undervalued and disconnected. It's important to recognize that this pattern of behavior isn't always obvious at first, especially when the person in question is charming, thoughtful in small ways, or has moments where they show that they care. But over time, the lack of prioritization becomes more evident, and you begin to realize that the effort is just not there when it counts. This doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't like you or even that he doesn't care about you at all. It just means that, for whatever reason, he isn't invested enough to make you a priority in his life. And that's a critical distinction to make if you want to protect your own emotional well-being and avoid wasting time on someone who isn't willing to give you the commitment you deserve. The second key sign that you're being kept as an option rather than being prioritized in a relationship is the lack of clear communication. Communication is the cornerstone of any successful relationship, and when it's unclear or evasive, it often signals that the person you're with isn't fully invested. A person who values you will want to build transparency and openness in your interactions. They will take the time to ensure that both of you are on the same page, to clarify any misunderstandings, and to engage in conversations that strengthen your bond. In contrast, someone who is keeping you as an option will avoid discussing deeper topics, particularly anything that might signal long-term commitment or clarity about where things are headed. When communication is vague, it creates a sense of confusion and uncertainty in the relationship. You may find that every conversation with him leaves you wondering where you stand. If the subject of your relationship comes up, you'll notice that he avoids providing any real answers or direction. Instead of offering reassurances or articulating his intentions clearly, he might deflect the conversation or give you answers that are non-committal. Statements like, "We'll see where things go," "I'm not sure what I want right now," or "I'm just taking things one day at a time," are classic examples of someone who doesn't want to commit, or at least doesn't want to make you feel secure in the relationship. These vague responses might sound neutral or harmless at first, but they essentially keep you in a state of limbo, unable to plan for the future or even understand what role you play in his life. One of the most striking features of unclear communication is the tendency to keep things surface level. When you're being kept as an option, deeper emotional conversations are often avoided. You may realize that while you're doing your best to be open, vulnerable, and honest, he is holding back or keeping his true thoughts and feelings hidden. This lack of emotional transparency can be very disheartening because it undermines any possibility of deepening the connection. This is limiting your own personal life choices and the motion avoided permanently which awaits you. If you're invested in building something meaningful, it's essential for both partners to be able to share their innermost feelings, insecurities, hopes, and desires. Without this, the relationship risks feeling shallow, transactional, and disconnected. The reluctance to open up, whether emotionally or mentally, reflects a lack of willingness to build something solid, and it places you in the uncomfortable position of trying to read between the lines to understand where you stand. Additionally, the absence of clear communication can manifest in inconsistent behavior. If he reaches out to you sporadically, giving you the impression that he's interested one moment and distant the next, it only compounds the uncertainty. A person who's truly committed to you doesn't need to keep you guessing about how they feel. They show their interest through regular communication, whether it's through text, calls, or even in-person conversations. When you're only hearing from him sporadically, or when his messages are short, disinterested, or delayed for days, it can make you feel like you're just one option among many. He doesn't see the need to keep you in the loop because he doesn't view you as someone he's deeply invested in. Another form of unclear communication is his inability to engage in discussions about the future. It's crucial to understand that relationships at some point must address the potential for the future. When someone is genuinely interested in you and sees a long-term potential, they naturally want to discuss where things are going. These conversations might not always happen in the early stages, but as time passes, the desire to know how both parties view the trajectory of the relationship is natural. However, If you try to broach the subject and you're met with hesitation or avoidance, it's a sign that he isn't fully willing to commit. The lack of clarity here isn't just about a fear of making promises, it reflects a lack of intention. A person who is not interested in building a future with you will constantly avoid discussions about future plans or life goals that involve the two of you as a couple. Instead, they might talk in general terms, stating things like, "I'm not thinking about the future right now," or "we'll see what happens," but never in a way that includes you in those plans. The inability to communicate about important matters often bleeds into how he handles conflicts as well. In healthy relationships, conflict is inevitable, but it can be a catalyst for growth if handled well. However, when you're simply an option, conflicts often go unresolved. He might avoid addressing your concerns, shut down conversations, or become defensive when you try to discuss something that's bothering you. Instead of having an open dialogue, he may choose to ignore the issue, sweep it under the rug, or turn it back on you. This avoidance of resolution is another form of unclear communication. It's a strategy designed to prevent things from becoming too serious. By keeping issues unresolved, he ensures that there is no emotional depth or weight in the relationship. Moreover, when communication is inconsistent and unclear, it often leads to a lack of trust. Trust is built over time through consistent, honest, and open dialogue. If someone avoids meaningful communication, it leaves room for doubt and suspicion. You might find yourself wondering if he's being truthful with you or if he's hiding something important. This erosion of trust can be one of the most damaging aspects of a relationship, as it undermines the foundation upon which the partnership is built. You may become hyper-aware of his words, reading into every statement, looking for signs of dishonesty or emotional distance. The more you question his sincerity, the more you feel like an option rather than a priority. In essence, when someone fails to communicate clearly and consistently, it shows that they aren't ready to commit to something serious. A person who is keeping you as an option will keep you in a state of uncertainty, ensuring that you never have the clarity you need to make informed decisions about your future. The ambiguity of his words and actions serves his own comfort, keeping things open-ended. Without commitment or real emotional investment, you deserve someone who is not only willing to communicate openly, but who is also willing to address the complexities of a relationship with honesty, clarity, and respect. The third sign that you're being kept as an option is when he fails to support or celebrate your personal growth and transformation. In any healthy relationship, one of the most important qualities a partner can offer is the ability to encourage and uplift the other person. Growth, both personal and professional, is a natural part of life, and a partner who genuinely values you will want to see you succeed and become the best version of yourself. However, when you're just an option in someone else's life, they might not show any genuine interest in your growth or might even be threatened by it. This lack of support can manifest in subtle ways, and it can be a painful realization when you see that your achievements, milestones, and aspirations are dismissed or overlooked. When you're in a relationship with someone who truly values you, they are a cheerleader for your growth. They celebrate your successes, no matter how big or small. They recognize your accomplishments and make an effort to acknowledge the hard work you've put in. Whether it's a promotion at work, an academic achievement, or a personal goal you've reached, they make you feel seen and appreciated for what you're accomplishing. This support helps to build a deeper bond, as it shows that they not only love you for who you are, but also for who you are becoming. This kind of partnership creates a foundation of mutual respect and admiration, where both individuals encourage each other to pursue their dreams and evolve into their fullest selves. In contrast, when you're simply an option, you might notice that your growth is either ignored or met with indifference. For instance, if you achieve something significant, such as landing a new job, pursuing a new hobby, or improving in some area of your life, he might not take the time to celebrate it with you. You could share your excitement, but instead of receiving encouragement or recognition, you might be met with silence, a vague compliment, or a distracted response. This lack of engagement reveals a deeper issue. He doesn't see your growth as important because he doesn't see you as someone he wants to invest in for the long term. His lack of enthusiasm about your progress tells you that you're not truly a priority in his life. This lack of support can be particularly evident when your growth challenges the status quo of the relationship. For example, if your personal growth involves making changes that demand more independence, whether it's pursuing a new career path, setting healthier boundaries, or asserting yourself more in the relationship, he might react negatively. A partner who's emotionally invested in your well-being would celebrate your newfound confidence or independence, but someone who's keeping you as an option might feel uncomfortable with the shift. They may respond by withdrawing, becoming distant, or even subtly trying to undermine your progress. This response can be a form of insecurity or a fear that your growth will eventually outpace the relationship. Instead of seeing your growth as something positive, they might interpret it as a threat to their own stability or control within the relationship. Another way this manifests is when your personal goals or ambitions are disregarded. If you express an interest in pursuing something important to you, whether it's a new career opportunity, an educational endeavor, or even a personal development goal, someone who truly cares will show curiosity and interest in how they can support you in achieving those goals. However, someone who keeps you as an option will often brush off your ambitions or downplay their importance. They might make dismissive comments or suggest that you're being unrealistic instead of offering encouragement or even practical support. This disregard for your passions and goals speaks volumes about how they view you as a temporary presence in their life, not as someone worth deeply investing in or encouraging to thrive. In some cases, the person may even actively try to hold you back from pursuing your goals. They might subtly make you feel guilty for wanting to change, grow, or achieve something that doesn't align with their preferences or expectations. This behavior often stems from a place of selfishness and insecurity, as they may fear losing you or feel threatened by the idea that you could grow beyond. If you're experiencing this lack of support, you may also notice a subtle erosion of your self-esteem. When you're constantly achieving, growing, and pushing yourself to be better, but those efforts go unacknowledged or unappreciated, it can make you feel invisible. The more you strive for personal growth, the more you may begin to question whether your partner truly values you for who you are, or if they only value you when you're not challenging the status quo. This feeling of invisibility can lead to frustration and resentment as you begin to see that the effort you put into becoming the best version of yourself is not being met with the same level of respect or enthusiasm from your partner. Furthermore, the absence of support for your growth also creates an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. It fosters a one-sided relationship where your personal development is stunted because you're not receiving the emotional nourishment that growth requires. Every relationship should be a space where both people feel safe and supported to pursue their own goals, to evolve as individuals, and to learn from each other. If you're not receiving this from your partner, it's a clear indication that they're not invested in the kind of long-term, mutually supportive relationship that allows both people to thrive. In essence, the failure to celebrate or support your personal growth reveals a significant gap in the emotional and relational investment from your partner. A person who truly values you will not only accept your growth, but will actively encourage it, recognizing that your success and happiness are integral to the success and happiness of the relationship. If you're constantly met with indifference, resistance, or even hostility in response to your growth, it's a clear sign that you're being kept as an option rather than being treated as an equal and valued partner in the relationship. The fourth sign that you're being kept as an option in a relationship is when he is emotionally unavailable. Emotional availability is a fundamental aspect of any successful long-term relationship. It allows both partners to connect on a deeper level, to share their innermost thoughts and feelings, and to offer support when one person is struggling. When someone is emotionally available, they are open, vulnerable, and willing to share their fears, dreams, and experiences with their partner. This mutual sharing creates a sense of closeness, intimacy, and trust, which are all essential for a healthy relationship. However, if you're in a situation where your partner is emotionally unavailable, it creates a barrier to that kind of connection, leaving you feeling distant, disconnected, and undervalued. At the core of emotional unavailability is the refusal or inability to engage in meaningful emotional intimacy. You might notice that no matter how much you open up, your partner keeps their emotions guarded. They may be reluctant to share anything personal with you. And when you try to engage in more intimate or vulnerable conversations, they might withdraw or become defensive. Rather than meeting you halfway emotionally, they keep you at arm's length, making it difficult for you to understand what's going on inside their mind or heart. This lack of emotional sharing leaves you feeling as though you're not truly seen or heard, which can be a painful experience when you're looking for a deeper connection. This emotional distance becomes even more pronounced when it comes time for him to support you during difficult moments. Everyone faces challenges in life, and in a committed relationship, both partners should be there for each other through those tough times. However, if your partner is emotionally unavailable, they might become distant or unresponsive when you need them the most. Instead of offering comfort, encouragement, or understanding, they may withdraw, leaving you to deal with your struggles alone. In some cases, they might not even acknowledge your emotional pain, brushing it off as unimportant or too difficult to deal with. This emotional neglect can be incredibly damaging, especially when you realize that your partner isn't willing to be present for you during your hardest moments. Another indication of emotional unavailability is when he avoids or deflects any conversations about the relationship or its future. Healthy relationships require ongoing communication about where both individuals stand, what their needs are, and how they envision their future together. These conversations are crucial for building trust and understanding. However, if your partner is emotionally unavailable, he might shut down these discussions, claiming that he's not ready to talk about the future, or simply changing the subject when things get too serious. By avoiding these conversations, he is essentially refusing to engage in the level of emotional depth required for a committed relationship. This evasive behavior leaves you feeling uncertain about where you stand, creating a sense of insecurity and confusion in the relationship. Emotional unavailability can also be seen in his lack of effort to address or resolve conflicts. In any relationship, disagreements are inevitable. However, what matters is how both parties handle conflict. When you're emotionally available, you're willing to engage in open, honest conversations about the issue at hand. Listen to your partner's perspective and work together to find a solution. When someone is emotionally unavailable, they often avoid conflict resolution altogether. They might become passive-aggressive, silent, or dismissive during arguments, refusing to address the root causes of the issue. Instead of engaging in a constructive conversation, they might shut down completely, making it clear that they're not interested in resolving the conflict or understanding your point of view. This avoidance of emotional engagement keeps the relationship stagnant, preventing any real growth or progress. Moreover, emotional unavailability can be tied to past traumas or unresolved issues, but it's important to recognize that this is not an excuse for neglecting the needs of a partner. If your partner is emotionally unavailable because of past experiences, it's essential that they take responsibility for their healing process and actively work on becoming more emotionally present. Unfortunately, some people don't acknowledge or work on their emotional issues. Instead, they continue to emotionally detach from their partners, expecting them to simply accept the lack of intimacy. If they're unwilling to open up about their own feelings, it suggests that they're not ready to share their life with you in a meaningful way. Sometimes, emotional unavailability can also manifest as a lack of effort to connect with you outside of basic interactions. If you're in a relationship where your partner only engages with you when it's convenient for them, or if they only initiate conversations when they need something, it's another sign that emotional availability is lacking. True emotional intimacy requires consistent effort to connect, share, and listen. If your partner doesn't seem interested in understanding your emotional state, or if they only engage with you on a surface level, it's an indication that they are keeping you as an option rather than fully committing to the relationship. In some cases, emotional unavailability is paired with a lack of physical affection. While physical touch is not the only measure of emotional intimacy, it often plays a significant role in expressing affection and closeness. If your partner is emotionally unavailable, you might also notice that physical affection is minimal or non-existent. They may avoid touching you, hugging you, or showing affection in any meaningful way. This withdrawal from both emotional and physical intimacy creates a sense of distance in the relationship, making it difficult to feel emotionally connected or supported. Ultimately, emotional availability is a critical aspect of a healthy, thriving relationship. If you're with someone who is emotionally unavailable, it can feel like you're pouring your heart and soul into something that is not being reciprocated. The emotional distance leaves you feeling isolated, confused, and undervalued. While it's normal for people to experience periods of emotional withdrawal due to stress, trauma, or personal issues, a partner who genuinely cares for you will make an effort to overcome these challenges and be emotionally present when you need them. Your partner is consistently emotionally unavailable and unwilling to engage with you on a deeper level. It's a clear sign that they are keeping you as an option, not prioritizing you as a partner. The fifth sign that you may be kept as an option is when he only reaches out when it's convenient for him or when he is in need of something. In a relationship, mutual respect and effort are essential for maintaining a healthy dynamic. A partner who genuinely values you will prioritize your needs, make time for you, and reach out even when it's not for their own benefit. When you're being kept as an option, however, you'll notice that the communication feels one-sided, often only happening when he has a specific need or when it serves his personal interests. This dynamic creates an unequal balance in the relationship, where your time, emotions, and efforts are not reciprocated. One of the most telling signs of this behavior is when his efforts to contact you or engage with you are sporadic and inconsistent. A person who is genuinely invested in you will seek consistent communication because they want to stay connected. However, if he only reaches out when it's convenient for him, whether that means reaching out late at night when he's bored or texting you only when he needs a favor, it becomes clear that he does not value you enough to make an effort to engage in regular, meaningful interaction. You might find that when you reach out to him, you don't always get the same level of responsiveness, or your attempts at conversation are often met with silence. On the rare occasions when he does initiate contact, it often feels like he's doing so because he's seeking something from you or because he's simply lonely. This behavior often shows itself when it becomes clear that you're being contacted for convenience rather than for a genuine desire to connect. For example, he might text or call only when he wants someone to talk to, when he needs emotional support, or when he's seeking validation, but not when you're experiencing similar needs. If you're always the one reaching out to initiate conversations or make plans, it can be draining and leave you feeling like you're chasing after someone who isn't making any effort to meet you halfway. It's important to understand that relationships require effort from both sides. Both individuals need to actively participate in sustaining the connection. If he is only reaching out when he needs something, whether it's emotional support, a quick fix for his loneliness, or some other form of validation, it shows that he is not interested in building a balanced, healthy relationship where both partners' needs are valued equally. This behavior also extends to how he treats your time and boundaries. A person who keeps you as an option is often unaware or dismissive of your boundaries, treating your availability as something that can be taken for granted. He might reach out at inconvenient times, such as late at night or when he's only got a few minutes to spare, expecting you to drop whatever you're doing and make yourself available to him. This lack of consideration for your time creates an unbalanced dynamic where you are expected to always be ready and waiting for him, but he doesn't reciprocate the same level of effort or thoughtfulness when it comes to meeting your needs. You might find yourself consistently rearranging your schedule or making sacrifices just to accommodate his sporadic attention, only to feel let down when your own needs go unrecognized. The inconsistency in his communication also leaves you feeling uncertain about where you stand in his life. When someone is emotionally available and invested in you, they don't leave you guessing about their feelings or intentions. But when you're just an option, the lack of consistency in communication makes it difficult to understand how they truly feel. They may only reach out when they're in the mood for company, when they want something from you, or when they're in a good mood, leaving you constantly wondering whether you're important to them or if you're just a convenience they rely on in times of need. This uncertainty can be incredibly frustrating because it keeps you in a state of limbo, unsure of where you fit into their life. Another way this behavior manifests is in the form of shallow interactions. When he reaches out only when it benefits him, the conversations tend to lack depth or emotional engagement. You may find that the bulk of your exchanges are surface level, with him only texting to make small talk or to get something from you without offering much in return. The lack of meaningful conversation leaves you feeling disconnected and undervalued because it suggests that your emotional connection isn't important to him. Relationships require vulnerability, trust, and emotional investment, things that cannot be achieved if the communication remains superficial. If he only engages with you when he needs something or when it's convenient for him, it suggests that he isn't willing to engage in the deeper, more intimate aspects of a relationship. In addition to this, the feeling of being kept as an option is often accompanied by a sense of being taken for granted. You might realize that you've been there for him during his difficult moments, offering emotional support, time, and care, but when it's your turn to need something, he's nowhere to be found. This one-sided dynamic is deeply draining and can leave you feeling like you're simply a safety net or backup plan, rather than an equal partner in the relationship. When a person doesn't make an effort to offer the same level of care and attention, it reveals that their interest in you is conditional, only present when it serves their needs. A relationship built on sporadic contact for convenience fosters feelings of insecurity and inadequacy. Over time, you may begin to feel that you're not a priority, and this can lead to questioning your worth. If someone constantly shows up only when it's convenient for them, you may wonder if they truly care about you or if you're just a temporary source of comfort. This uncertainty can undermine your sense of self-esteem and make you feel as though you're just a placeholder in their life, someone who is only worth reaching out to when it's useful for them. Ultimately, relationships are about mutual respect, effort, and genuine connection. When someone only contacts you when it serves their purpose or when they're in need, it leaves you feeling like an option rather than a priority. The lack of reciprocity in these situations is a clear indication that your emotional and personal needs are not being valued. Healthy relationships are built on consistent, meaningful communication, where both individuals are invested in one another's well-being. If you find yourself constantly wondering when or if your partner will reach out, or if you're always the one making the effort, it's a sign that you're being kept as an option rather than fully embraced as a committed partner. The sixth sign that you're being kept as an option is when he is vague about his intentions or unwilling to define the relationship. In any relationship, communication is key. One of the most crucial aspects of a healthy relationship is understanding where both partners stand. A healthy partner will make an effort to have clear conversations about the relationship, where they both are emotionally and where they see the relationship going in the future. These discussions are vital for establishing mutual expectations, building trust, and ensuring both individuals are on the same page. However, when you're being kept as an option, your partner may refuse to have these discussions or provide vague, non-committal responses about the future of the relationship. This reluctance to define the relationship leaves you in a state of uncertainty where you don't know whether you're an important part of his life or just someone filling a temporary role. When you're being kept as an option, he may avoid conversations about commitment or the future. If you ask him where he sees the relationship going, his response may be evasive or nonchalant. Instead of offering clarity, he may deflect the question or provide answers that suggest he's not sure or not interested in making any decisions about the relationship. These vague responses, such as, "I don't know," or "I'm not sure what I want right now," can be frustrating because they don't offer any real insight into his intentions. By avoiding the conversation or offering ambiguity, he creates a situation where you're left to guess what he truly wants. This lack of transparency leaves you feeling uncertain and insecure, as you can never be sure if you're on the same page. In addition to this, a partner who is keeping you as an option may actively avoid making any long-term plans together. Healthy relationships involve shared experiences and plans for the future, whether it's attending events together, making plans for vacations, or even discussing things like where you want to live. These conversations help create a sense of partnership and commitment. However, when you're just an option, he might avoid making concrete plans, even for simple things. You may suggest doing something in the near future, and he may give a vague response like, "We'll see," or "Maybe, I'm not sure." These kinds of non-committal responses signal that he doesn't want to invest the emotional energy required to plan something meaningful with you, or he's simply not willing to commit to spending time with you in the future. This avoidance of commitment and vagueness about intentions also prevents you from fully knowing where you stand in his life. It's not uncommon for someone who isn't fully invested in the relationship to keep things in a state of uncertainty, as it allows them to maintain control and flexibility. By not defining the relationship or making any clear declarations about their feelings, they keep you on standby, waiting for them to decide whether they want to take things to the next level or keep things casual. This lack of clarity makes it difficult for you to determine whether you are truly a priority or if you are simply being kept as an option while they explore other possibilities. When someone is unsure or unwilling to define the relationship, they often offer excuses for why they aren't ready to commit. These excuses can be varied, but they tend to revolve around fear of the future or personal insecurities. They might say things like, "I'm not ready for a relationship right now," or "I'm not in a good place for something serious." And while these reasons may seem reasonable on the surface, they often mask a deeper lack of investment in the relationship. If these excuses persist over time, despite your desire for clarity and commitment, it becomes clear that they are not prioritizing you in the way that you deserve. Instead of addressing their own hesitations or fears, they leave you hanging in a state of limbo, unsure of where you fit into their life or if you even have a real future together. How much more satisfying could that be for you? The refusal to define the relationship can also be a sign that your partner is keeping their options open. By avoiding commitment and keeping things vague, they maintain the ability to entertain other possibilities, whether that means dating other people, remaining emotionally detached, or simply not being tied down. This behavior suggests that you are one of many options they are considering, rather than the person they are choosing to fully invest in. They may enjoy the benefits of your company without taking on the responsibility of a committed relationship. This non-committal attitude prevents you from building any real sense of security or trust in the relationship, as it suggests that your partner is not ready to make you a priority. Furthermore, when you're being kept as an option, the lack of clear intention can cause a great deal of emotional strain. You might find yourself questioning your own worth, wondering why your partner is unwilling to commit or define the relationship. This uncertainty can be emotionally exhausting, as you constantly analyze their behavior and try to decipher whether their lack of clarity means they don't care or if it's just a temporary hesitation. Over time, the emotional toll of this confusion can wear you down, as you're left in a perpetual state of doubt, unsure whether you're building something real or if you're just another passing phase for your partner. A healthy relationship is built on honesty, transparency, and mutual commitment. It's about two people who are willing to invest in one another and work towards a shared future. If your partner is unwilling to define the relationship, it's a clear indication that they are not committed to building that future with you. The lack of clarity about where things are heading prevents you from being able to make informed decisions about your own life and your own future. You may be left in a position where you are constantly waiting for them to make a decision, and in the meantime, you may miss out on other opportunities for growth, happiness, and fulfillment. The refusal to discuss the future of the relationship or provide clarity about intentions can also signal a lack of respect for your time and emotions. If someone truly values you and sees you as a long-term partner, they will make an effort to define the relationship and make clear their intentions. They will want to communicate openly with you about the future, what they want, and how they envision the relationship evolving. If these conversations are avoided or left ambiguous, it becomes evident that you are not being prioritized in the way you deserve. Ultimately, the vagueness about intentions and refusal to define the relationship speaks volumes about how your partner views you and the relationship itself. It shows that you are being kept as an option rather than being fully embraced as a committed partner. A lack of clarity about where you stand and where the relationship is headed leaves you in a state of emotional uncertainty, preventing you from fully investing in the future or planning your life with any sense of security. When someone is truly invested in you, they will be clear about their intentions and they will make an effort to define the relationship so that both partners are on the same page. The seventh sign that you're being kept as an option is when he refuses to introduce you to his inner circle, his friends, family, or people who are important to him. Relationships are built on trust, intimacy, and integration into each other's lives. As two people grow closer and become more involved, there is an inherent desire to bring each other into their social circles. This includes introducing a partner to friends, family, and others who matter in one's life. It's a clear indication of how serious someone is about the relationship when they make an effort to let you meet the people who have shaped their life. However, if your partner is keeping you as an option, they may go out of their way to keep you away from the people closest to them, signaling that they are not truly invested in your relationship or in seeing you as someone they want. One of the most telling signs of this behavior is the avoidance of introducing you to his family or close friends, especially after you've been dating for a while. If your partner consistently keeps you separate from these important people, it suggests a lack of commitment or an unwillingness to allow you to become a part of his life in a meaningful way. There may be excuses such as, I don't want to rush things, or I'm not sure they're ready to meet someone I'm dating, but these explanations don't hold much weight if the relationship has been going on for a considerable amount of time. In healthy relationships, introducing a partner to friends and family happens organically as the bond between the two people strengthens. If your partner consistently avoids this step, it signals that you're not being considered as a serious long-term option in their life. When you're kept as an option, your partner may be hesitant to discuss you with people in his life as well. While casual mention of a partner in conversation is common, someone who is emotionally invested in a relationship will talk about you to those they are close to. It could be as simple as saying, I've been seeing someone and things are going really well, or sharing small details about your life together. When you're being kept as an option, however, your partner may avoid mentioning you to friends or family altogether. This can be a subtle but telling sign that they're not ready to make you a permanent fixture in their life. They might talk around the topic when their friends ask about their dating life, or they may deflect questions about your relationship by changing the subject. This behavior indicates that they are not comfortable enough to publicly acknowledge you as their partner or to include you in their personal narrative. Another aspect of this behavior can be seen in how they behave around their friends or family when you're not around. In some cases, they may act as though they are single, downplaying or avoiding any mention of you or the relationship. They might flirt with others, behave as though they're available, or even talk about other people they are dating. This creates confusion and hurt because while you may be emotionally invested in the relationship, they are behaving in ways that suggest they are keeping their options open or are not ready to fully commit to you in a public or social sense. This can make you feel isolated, as if you're being kept in the background while your partner continues to explore other possibilities without acknowledging your importance. If your partner is keeping you separate from their inner circle, it may also be a reflection of their reluctance to bring you into their world due to fear of judgment or uncertainty about the relationship's future. There could be a fear of commitment on their part, and introducing you to close friends or family members would signal that they are serious about the relationship. Rather than taking that step, they may choose to keep you in a more isolated or private sphere where they can maintain control over the situation and avoid making any definitive decisions about the relationship's trajectory. This behavior can stem from their hesitation to fully invest in the relationship or fear that they might have to confront feelings or decisions they're not ready to make. This lack of inclusion can also stem from a desire to keep options open. If your partner is dating or seeing other people casually, they may not want you to meet their friends or family because doing so would give the relationship more weight or permanence. By keeping you separated from these circles, they can maintain their sense of freedom, knowing that you aren't being fully integrated into their lives. The avoidance of introducing you to important people signals that they aren't ready to make a public or emotional commitment to you. They may still be exploring their options or keeping other romantic possibilities on the table, and introducing you to family or friends would make that feel too final or serious for them. If the relationship has been ongoing for a while and you still haven't been introduced to the people closest to your partner, it creates a sense of emotional distance and makes it difficult for you to understand where you truly stand in the relationship. A lack of inclusion can make you feel like a temporary presence in their life, someone who is being kept in the background while they continue to explore other avenues. When someone is truly invested in you, they want to share their life with you and let the people who are most important to them see how you fit into that world. Keeping you hidden from their inner circle can be emotionally draining, as it leaves you feeling undervalued and disconnected. Furthermore, if your partner actively avoids discussing their friends or family with you, it can be a sign that they are trying to keep their worlds separate. People who are truly committed to a relationship are typically eager to share their lives with one another, including their relationships with family and friends. If your partner avoids talking about them or keeps conversations about their personal life to a minimum, it creates a sense of emotional separation. This can leave you feeling like you're not allowed to be a part of their full life, or that you don't have a real place in their world. The refusal to introduce you to their inner circle, especially after you've been dating for a while, signals that your partner is not ready to prioritize you or invest in a long-term relationship. By keeping you at a distance from the people who matter most to them, they maintain control over the relationship and avoid committing to a deeper connection. Healthy, committed relationships are characterized by openness and integration into each other's lives, including introducing one another to important people. If your partner consistently avoids this step, it's a clear sign that you're not being considered as a permanent or serious part of their future. Instead, you're being kept as an option, someone they see for the moment, but not someone they are ready to fully commit to and integrate into their life. The eighth and final sign that you are being kept as an option is when he consistently avoids or resists making you a priority in his life, especially when it comes to important moments or decisions. In a healthy relationship, partners make each other a priority, whether it's emotionally, physically, or in the way they manage their time. When someone is truly invested in you, they will make time for you, they will show up when it counts, and they will ensure that you are an integral part of their daily life. However, when you're being kept as an option, you will find that your presence is often secondary to other commitments, and your needs or desires are dismissed or deprioritized. One of the clearest signs of this behavior is when your partner is unwilling to make time for you, even when it's clear that you are making an effort to be present and engaged in the relationship. In relationships where both people are committed to each other, you will see both individuals making efforts to be there for each other, even when life gets busy. But when you're kept as an option, your partner will repeatedly cancel plans, avoid making time for you, or simply prioritize other things over spending time with you. Their excuse might be work, family obligations, or personal issues. But over time, you'll notice a pattern in which their attention is always diverted elsewhere when you need it. Whether it's an important event in your life or just a regular hangout, you'll find that you're often the one who has to adjust your schedule to fit his. If you express that you need more time together or that you feel neglected, you might be met with indifference or excuses, suggesting that your desires aren't as important as whatever else is currently demanding his attention. A person who is serious about a relationship will prioritize their partner even when life is hectic. They will make an effort to ensure that their partner feels valued, and they will work to make time for them despite any challenges that come their way. On the other hand, when you're being kept as an option, you are not considered a priority in the same way. You may find yourself feeling like an afterthought, always waiting for a moment of attention or affection that doesn't seem to come until it's convenient for him. He may be more than willing to make time for other commitments, like his friends, his hobbies, or his work. But when it comes to you, those same efforts are rarely reciprocated. Furthermore, if your partner consistently avoids making you a priority, it can feel like your needs and desires are being disregarded. In a relationship, mutual respect means acknowledging each other's emotions, desires, and well-being. However, if you are constantly putting effort into the relationship while your partner remains disengaged, it's a sign that they are not fully invested in you. This lack of priority can show up in various ways: not being there when you need support, not taking your concerns seriously, or not showing up for special occasions or important moments. When you're kept as an option, you might feel as though your emotional needs are being overlooked and your efforts to connect are not met with the same level of care or attention. In some cases, your partner might actively avoid engaging with you during difficult moments or significant events. For example, if you're going through a stressful time at work or in your personal life, you may reach out for comfort or support, but he might be nowhere to be found. He may brush off your emotional needs with a simple, "I'm busy," or "I don't know what to say," leaving you feeling unsupported. When you need him the most, he may not be there, yet he expects you to be available when it suits him. This behavior not only makes you feel undervalued, but it also highlights the unequal nature of the relationship. In these instances, it's clear that his priorities lie elsewhere, and you're left wondering where you fit in his life. This lack of priority is also evident when it comes to significant decisions or plans for the future. When you're being kept as an option, any major discussion about the future is often met with hesitation, avoidance, or outright resistance. You might want to talk about moving in together, planning a vacation, or discussing the potential for a long-term relationship, but these conversations can be dismissed or pushed aside. He may avoid making any commitments, citing reasons like, "I'm not ready for that," or "I haven't thought about it yet," leaving you feeling as though you are not part of his long-term plans. This behavior demonstrates a clear reluctance to invest in the relationship at a deeper level, and it keeps you in a state of uncertainty, unsure of what the future holds or if you're even part of that future. Another aspect of this behavior is the inconsistency in how your partner treats you compared to how they treat others. You may notice that he shows up consistently for his friends, his family, or his career, but when it comes to you, he is less reliable. He might drop everything to help a friend move or attend a family gathering, but fail to make time for something that's important to you. This unequal treatment reveals where his true priorities lie. While he might be willing to give his time and energy to others, you are left on the periphery, always waiting for a moment when he can fit you in. This can leave you feeling like a secondary consideration, someone who is important but not necessarily a priority in his life. Furthermore, this avoidance of prioritizing you can affect your own self-esteem and sense of worth. Constantly feeling like you're not a priority can make you question your value in the relationship. It can create feelings of insecurity, self-doubt, and frustration as you wonder why your needs are not being met while his are. Over time, this pattern of behavior can erode your confidence and sense of importance, leaving you emotionally drained and unfulfilled. The need to feel like a priority in a relationship is natural. Every person deserves to feel valued, seen, and respected by their partner. When you're consistently placed at the bottom of the priority list, it's a clear indication that the relationship is not built on the foundation of mutual respect and commitment. If you find yourself constantly being overlooked or pushed aside, it's time to reevaluate the relationship and consider whether it is truly serving your emotional needs. A relationship that is based on genuine connection will involve both partners making each other a priority, especially when it counts the most. If this doesn't happen, it's a sign that you may be kept as an option, not a priority, in their life. In conclusion, these signs are often subtle but clear. Lack of consistent effort, evasive behavior about the future, lack of consistent effort evasive behavior about the future, refusal to integrate you into their life, and a general sense of emotional neglect when you're not prioritized. When your partner avoids making clear commitments or showing you the respect you deserve, it becomes painfully evident that you're not seen as a person they're truly invested in. You may feel like you're constantly on standby, unsure of where you stand, or true love and commitment require transparency, respect, and the willingness to prioritize each other. If you find yourself in a relationship where your needs are continually unmet and you're always left wondering about the future, it's time to reflect on what you truly deserve. It's essential to recognize your own worth and understand that you deserve more than to be treated as an option. The right partner will invest in you fully, make you a priority, and share in building a future together. Anything less is not a healthy or sustainable relationship, and you deserve better. Don't settle for being kept as an option. Aim for a relationship where you are seen, valued, and prioritized for who you truly are